Hello, everyone, and welcome to Food Strong Sessions. Just give us a couple of minutes as we're setting this up and thank you so much for joining in. Thanks so much for making the time this lovely evening. This is also wishing all of you all a very, very happy new year before we start. I hope all of you have had a great celebration over the long weekend and have come back refreshed and ready to punch the new year with great positive goals.
Hello.
Hi, Shreya. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing very well. Wish you a very, very happy new year.
Same to you. Same to you. I hope you had blast.
I had a blast, but I have to ask you, did you allow yourself to indulge?
A bit.
I like that. I like that. For
Yeah.
all of those listening, we just figure out how disciplined Shreya is. And I'll, in contrast, keep telling you how indisciplined I am and how life can work in that balance.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe we should just give a couple of minutes for people to join Shreya and then we'll start off.
Sure.
And guys, we can keep this interactive. If you can put any questions on the chat, we'd be happy to address those. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining this lovely morning. Wish everyone a very, very happy new year again. We hope 2022 brings joy, happiness, and prosperity for everyone. And to kickstart this new year, we've got with us Shreya Adhav. Shreya is a celebrated sports nutritionist. She's been a coach and mentor on nutrition to Olympiads, marathon runners, Arjun Award winners, all kinds of sportsmen. And she's a marathon runner herself. So she's an avid runner. And along with these deep degrees in nutrition that she has, this young girl from Nashik also wears her heart on her sleeve and does a lot of work with NGOs in making sure that we teach the right nutrition habits to all the children. I mean, making sure that India grows up right. A lot of respect and a lot of gratitude for that, Shreya. I think we need more people like you in this world to make that happen. And I think her motto, which all of you will be very happy to hear, is not to starve you, unlike many other people that you've met, but is to actually create healthy habits. Let's not create unhealthy monikers and unhealthy habits about food, but let's think about healthier habits. So welcome, Shreya, and thank you so much for making time to join.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you so much for a lovely introduction. It is definitely a great pleasure to be a part of this platform and educate more and more individuals. Like you said, that's our motto, and we would be doing it whenever possible.
Yeah. So Shreya, we're going to keep this interactive, and I'm going to ask you a few questions. And we're also going to. I'm bad with technology. I have to admit to you guys, but if I can figure it out, I'm going to make sure that we answer all the questions that our users throw in with us. Yeah. So shall let's start with the brilliant basics. What do we mean by eating healthy?
So, eating healthy should always be like a balance, because see, we as humans already know that there are certain foods, there are certain meals we would not be able to restrict, right? So, even if you're indulging yourself in some of these unhealthy foods or some of the foods which you actually love, try and make sure that there's a balance between the healthier options as well, which you will be eating throughout the week, as well as you incorporate some sort of a physical activity, which is going to create the balance from the food that you've already eaten with the healthier important thing when we talk about healthy eating is people surround themselves with some of the common misconceptions. That they want to probably starve themselves, or when they go on a diet, or when they want to eat healthy, they would not be able to enjoy their favorite foods, or probably they will have to restrict some of the macronutrients, maybe say calorie wise, maybe say they want to have only protein, no carbs, and all of these things, right? So I want to share this with everyone, that if you want to start with a healthy eating habit, just stay yourself away from all of these misconceptions, because it's just a simple calculation of plus and minus. That's it. So if you're plussing it with maybe the foods which are unwanted, minus it with the foods or the strategy or the physical activity that you're doing, and strike a balance between all of them. And I think that's what healthy eating is for me.
That is music to my ears. I'm one of those people who go on these yo-yo diets. I'm starving
Yeah.
myself one day, starving myself the second day, and then the third day I'm on this
Hmm.
binge to overcome, right? And I think that really messes up, especially as you grow older. I think it really messes up your metabolism, and
Exactly.
it really makes for a very unhealthy sort of state of being, right?
Right.
I
Right.
love that concept of balance that you have. Like, if you can, it also just helps you get rid of the guilt, right? I should be able to enjoy the ice cream
Exactly.
every now and then.
Exactly, because sometimes you cannot control your mind, right? So, that's also an important thing, that you should be able to have a balance between what you think, what you want to have, and plus what your body needs. And if you're able to take care of all of these aspects, then ultimately you will be definitely the best version of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're thinking about that ice cream sitting in bed at 2 in the night, you might as well have it.
Have it.
Yeah.
And then probably do a little extra cardio the next day, so that you know that,
Yeah.
okay, it is sorted.
Yes, you can have salad for lunch the next. Correct.
Exactly,
Correct.
exactly.
Correct. 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 Okay, so shifting to something slightly more serious, Shreya, I think big believer in the fact that over the years, the average Indian person's diet has now several deficiencies that have clamped up. We at Food Strong have been doing a lot of research about macro and micronutrients that the population is deficient in, and these are leading to a host of lifestyle issues. These are leading to a host of challenges in metabolism that people are facing across generations, right? And it's
Right.
partly the fact that our diet has been dilapidated with junk, and it's partly the fact that the quality of the food produced itself has gone down over the years, right? Your view on what are some of the largest deficiencies in the Indian diet?
Um, See, before like anyone who comes on board with us, we always ask them to get certain blood tests for us to understand whether the food that they're eating or the nutrition that they're providing to their body, whether it's sufficient or not, whether the levels are improving with it or not, right? So the most common deficiencies which I see not only in the blood parameters but in day-to-day life, what people are lacking into is basically your vitamin B12, vitamin D, iron, folic acid, omega-3. These are some of the nutrients which are commonly deficit in Indian population. Protein was one of them, but then ultimately, thanks to COVID, that people have started becoming aware that you need to have protein, and everyone in the health sector is talking that, okay, you should increase the protein intake in order to take care of your immunity. So protein is, fortunately, it's coming up. It's improving the levels or the intake of protein. But apart from that, these are some of the common deficiencies which I come across in most of the individuals, who either food wise there's not enough, or else even if the people are incorporating these foods cautiously in their diet, but the absorption is something which is lacking. So
Yeah.
that are some of the common deficiencies which I come across.
How how acute do you think this vitamin D deficiency is? Because we've been hearing a lot about it, especially in COVID. I think people have been speaking about it.
Yeah.
And how does one solve for it? Does one pop pills? Is there foods, or is it just exposure to sunlight?
See, exposure to sunlight, like everyone says that this is the cheapest form of vitamin D, but since now, you never know, we might go into another lockdown, and our exposure to sun is not that much as it was before, right? So generally what happens is, even at that level, the absorption is different for each individual. Your skin type is also one of the most important factor that would decide that how much of vitamin D from those sunlight or sunrises, is getting absorbed. So food wise, I would suggest to definitely make sure that you're incorporating foods that are rich in vitamin D specifically. But before you do that, it's better to get the blood levels done and understand that what are your actual vitamin D levels. Because generally, if it is on the deficit side, you need to maybe probably incorporate foods as well as a supplement. So if in case it's maybe say borderline low, then you need to make sure that there's a higher dose of vitamin D that you're incorporating. Either your health expert, doctor, or a nutritionist or a dietitian can recommend you the same. Or else, if it is borderline okay, then probably you can make sure that you're incorporating the foods which are rich in vitamin D. And same for the other nutrients as well. But I would suggest you to get the levels checked first, and then probably incorporate all of these foods.
Absolutely, absolutely. And go out as much as possible in the sun while we still can.
Exactly,
Let there
exactly.
not be another lockdown. That will shatter my spirit.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah. And what are some of the simple blood levels that you get tested for? So vitamin D you said is one. And what are some of the others?
Vitamin B12, iron, folic acid. These are some of
Is
the
iron
common,
also a huge deficiency in
especially in females, I see that.
okay. And
Yeah.
urban, semi-urban kind of population as well?
All, I would say all.
Yeah.
Most of them, most of them.
Yeah, it's surprising. It's surprising. We think we're eating well, we think we're focusing on nutrition, but somehow these macro and micronutrients are so hard to balance
Exactly.
in our meals on an ongoing basis, right?
Right.
Shifting gears, what are some of the excesses that you see, Shreya? What are some of the sins of modern day living that we are falling to, getting trapped by?
I think people already know about it. I don't need to tell them because as an health expert, this is a very common question that come across, and people try and ask that, what are the alternatives, or what is something that I can actually change or replace with. But some of the excess which I see and which most of the people would definitely agree to is salt intake, carbonated beverages, high caloric and high fatty foods, because like I said, that our mood is pretty much related to what we eat. So I think these are some of the things which I feel is on the higher side, and the consumption is also on the higher side.
Salt is a silent killer, I have to tell
Silent
you.
killer. Yeah.
We did this food diaries back in the day. We did this in Delhi, and on an average, that population very well aware, controlling their oil intake, controlling the kind of sugar intake that they have. 50x the amount of salt. I mean, I think that's
Wow.
and it just leads to all sorts of complications. And the levels for sodium are so low if you
Hmm.
look at the recommended dietary allowance. And BP is just
Right.
becoming such a luxury. And
Right.
even the sugar and the carb combination, I feel like just I think we're already insulin resistant. I think 100 million pre-diabetics.
Yes. Yes. You're right.
And we just I grew up on God bless them with glucose milk biscuits being dipped in milk early in the morning,
Hmm.
and just the sugar spike that something like this gives you, such
Correct.
a shock to the system. Yeah,
Right.
I think it's just insane the amount of excesses that we have, and all sorts of lifestyle diseases that leads to stress. So, have you seen some of these diseases hit people in their 30s, early 40s, as part of your profession?
Definitely. See, like I initially also said, that your mind has a lot of control over what kind of food choices you make, right? Your mood has a major role to play. So whenever we feel happy, we celebrate. Whenever we feel sad, we celebrate. And all of these occasions has particular amount of food that we always choose. So either it can be sweet, either it can be salty, or either it can be, whatever, like junk food, if we call them. So definitely, and the major thing from where everything starts is because of these foods, you tend to gain weight, and especially fat weight, which is the major reason for all of the health related problems, whether it's your diabetes, whether it's your cardiovascular diseases, whether it's your thyroid, uric acid, PCOD, PCOS, and all of these health related problems. So most of the time people think that it is some of the occasions which probably require that kind of choosing, or picking up those kind of foods, but then ultimately they don't understand and they don't see the long term effects of the same. So when we initially also started with our session, it's all about the balance. I don't restrict my clients, once in a while cheat meal is allowed. I mean, it's completely okay, but you need to make sure that throughout the week you're eating healthy in order to deserve that cheat meal. So I think that's how things roll.
But you are so right. Our celebrations, our mornings, our relationships are so intertwined with food. We express ourselves with food in this country, you know. Our
Exactly.
festivities are known by the kind of food we eat. So
Right.
it's very difficult for us to sort of get away from it. But you're right. If you're a bit more mindful, if you're a bit more thoughtful around every choice that we make, and we think about that cheat meal, we think about how we're going to go and deserve that,
Exactly.
then maybe life will be a little bit better. Yeah.
Right. Right.
So how do we start changing this? We have these deficiencies and we have these excesses, but how do we start making these changes? What do I do starting tomorrow? Except for the blood work, I'm thoroughly scared of needles, so that's out of
Right.
the question
Right.
personally. But what do we start doing tomorrow?
So see, number one thing is because it's New Year and we're just starting with our, more days and more opportunities, new opportunities. The most important thing I would like to tell everyone over here is do not set any sort of goals for this in this 10 days where, we say that, okay, these are my New Year resolutions. Don't do that. Okay, because as per research, by mid-Feb, by second week of Feb, all the resolutions will be like gone. So it's better if you don't do that because ultimately what happens is this is temporary. So start taking small steps, baby steps. Do not do something which is extreme, like a fat diet or probably going on a detox diet or probably, exercising more. Don't do all of these small tricks which might have effects later on in your life. Okay. Apart from that, like I said, small steps. What you can do is probably today or for this 1 week, have a goal of eating maybe say 2 fruits in a day. Next week probably you can increase or you can go to some other food, making sure that there's salad every day for both the meals that you're eating, right? Making sure that there's a protein in each of the meals that you're eating, making sure that when you work out you are fueling well for your workout, you're taking care of your pre-workout, during workout, post-workout meals as well. So these are small steps that you can start incorporating week wise, which is going to make sure that over the period of time these become habit. And that's what lifestyle is all about. You don't do drastic changes, it's your body. You have to always listen to your body and make sure that whatever you do, it has an impact. And these are some of the things which are not to a new habit. So I think these are some of the things which I think you should incorporate, especially starting this year.
I like that resolution of not making resolutions.
Yeah.
It's very pertinent. And I can tell you in that research, you can add a +1. Even before mid-Feb, those resolutions are actually broken. You're right.
Yeah.
And what would, Shreya, be some of these little small changes that you would make? You mentioned a few. I think you said adding a salad to
Yeah.
every meal, adding a protein to every meal. And I think that's
Correct.
great because the moment you add a salad or a protein to every meal, you automatically feel better and full without
Exactly.
having some of the unhealthy stuff, without junking as much, right? But what are some
Right.
of the others that we can sort of add in?
So, other things which I always recommend is have small and frequent meals rather than going for only 2 meal a day pattern. Because if you're providing your body a constant source of energy, number one is it is going to take care of your metabolism. It is going to take care of your weight as well as all of these health parameters or the health diseases that we talk about. Okay, so even if I'm not telling you to have like an entire meal every 2 hour, maybe it can be as easy as having a fruit or a dry fruit or a laddu or a chikki. All of these things are easily made and easily available at our house, right? So this can be one thing. Make sure that you're hydrating well. Most important point, which many of the people either miss out because of their work schedule or because they are stressed or because there's no requirement of drinking water. So make sure that you're hydrating well, and because it is one of the important factors to take, which takes care of your immunity as well. Balance your stress and your work life or your personal life, because stress is directly related to what you eat, right? The higher the stress levels, the higher the indulgence in all of these unhealthy foods, because your body's requirement goes up because of stress. So you would definitely end up having a high caloric or a high fatty food or high sugary food for that matter. So, and make sure that you move every 30 minutes or probably, whenever, because now we are at home and, all of the people have desk job. So if you have that kind of a lifestyle, make sure that you move at least for some point of time or take out time for a physical activity, which can be as easy of like 30 minutes of a walk or a run or a jog or something which can actually give you that good feeling of whatever you're doing throughout the day or throughout your life. So I think these would be some of the things which I would suggest individuals to do.
You had me a laddu. When you said that, Kelly, but you're so right. I mean, that little bit of a little snack can really help sometimes take you a long way. And the more healthy we make those snack choices, the better it is. And on
Exactly.
the again on the stress levels, I mean, genetically, our body, where we're hunters and hunted from the
Correct.
primitive times, so our body is expected to generate these hormones,
Right.
which require an adrenaline rush or a sudden spurt of energy every time we're under stress because we think a predator is going to attack us.
Correct.
So the more we get stressed, the more we eat because our body thinks it needs this surge of energy. It's just that there are no more lions to run away from. There's
Right.
just emails to kill,
Right.
and that takes us a long way, right? Um, I'm. It's a very depressing topic, but I think it's a topic we can't go without touching. COVID. It's now been a part of our lives for 2 years, and with all the signs that we're seeing, we do think that it's going to remain in some shape, form with us forever. In this environment, where again we are looking at multiple pressures, different people have different pressures, health,
Right.
work, balancing personal and professional spaces, uh, just being away from near and dear ones. I think it creates a very different atmosphere. How do you think COVID integrates into our life, and how do we still make healthy choices for ourselves and for our family?
See, like you correctly said, it's now become a part of our life, and we cannot really, change few things which are not under our control. But we can definitely make sure that our lifestyle, our as well as our family's lifestyle, is in such a way that we would be able to tackle this, virus. So some of the common things which I always recommend to individuals is to start incorporating these micronutrients, your vitamins and minerals. So make sure that you're having citrus fruits in your diet, fruits and vegetables, which would bump up your immune levels or immunity levels. Make sure there are green leafy vegetables in your diet, nuts and oil seeds, protein, most important point. Like I initially also said, it's something which basically helps increase the immunity cells in your body. So protein is also another nutrient. Omega-3, fatty fish, nuts and oil seeds, avocado. These are some of the foods which actually help take care of your immune system as well as fight back the virus. Most importantly, turmeric, ginger, garlic, all of these antioxidant, anti-inflammatory foods are also crucial to take care of your immunity. And plus, make sure that your as well as your family's food plate has lots of colors, so that you know that you're getting these micronutrients from all of these tiny foods, or colorful fruits and vegetables that you're incorporating in your daily routine life. So these are some of the foods which I personally recommend all of the individuals, whether it is COVID times, whether they had COVID or whether they're recovering from it. Because see, ultimately food is something which can play a lot of role when we talk about any of the health problems, whether it's virus, whether it's any sort of flu or anything for that matter. So make sure that you surround yourself with that shield, protective shield of nutrients, which is going to help you overcome the virus. Also, stress, like we initially discussed, stay away from it. Increase the amount of physical activity that you're doing. The more sedentary you are, the more stress levels are going to be. Your body would not be able to remove toxins from your body, which would ultimately compromise your immune system. So no matter how many foods you're eating, which I recommended, if you're sedentary, ultimately it might not give you the results that we are expecting. So I think these are some of the things which I would definitely recommend individuals to incorporate, especially during these tough times. And do not, I wouldn't say do not have, but at least restrict yourself with all of the, I would say no caloric or no nutritious foods or meals, like maybe say your pizza, pasta, all of these junk foods, sugary foods, carbonated beverages. Try and be a little more away from it, because that's something which your body would not really help you in any way, as well as it would basically gain weight and then following things. So I think these are some of the important things that I would definitely recommend.
So you've been running. This is beautiful weather,
Yeah.
but with all that's going on, have you been going running?
Not really, but I make sure that I go for a walk.
every now and then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that color on the food plate is so critical and it's so easy to communicate. Like I have a
Exactly.
7-year-old and a 9-year-old. And
Hmm.
the best way to have a conversation with them about food is actually this balance. So you tell them that you get a pizza if you have a soup.
Right,
And you need to make sure that you have your yellows, your reds, and your greens. That's how far we preached
right,
uh, in the diet. And then if you finished your prunes and your fruits, then you're going to get X. So it's this whole concept of balance, trade, negotiation is, I think, so deeply ingrained
exactly.
right from the beginning. And such a lovely concept because you also just feel so much better when you see that full plate and that
Right,
colorful plate.
right, right.
That it just brings a joy to your heart, right?
Exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
I know you said no New Year resolutions, but tips as we start 2022. It's just the start. It's the first Monday of the year. It's the first day, I think, when many people are getting back from a long break. So, what should we be doing and what should we not be doing?
So, like we initially also discussed, just stay away from the foods which you feel is not necessary for your body or something that don't mix your mood with food. Simple. That's one of the easiest thing that I think most of the people can do. Always look out for healthy alternatives. I'm not saying don't indulge. I'm just saying that look out for an healthy alternative. Like for example, if you want to eat a burger, make sure you make it at home. Or if you want to have a pizza, load it with a lot of chicken or paneer or maybe a lot of veggies, make it thin crust so that you know that okay, even if you're indulging into something, but it is again a healthy option. Because when we talk about food, food is life's one of the most joyful thing. And nowadays, because of the situation, people are treating food as their enemy. So you have to change the attitude, you have to change the way you think about a certain food. And I think that's something which is going to take an individual in a long way. And since like you said, we're just starting with this new year, even if you are able to change the small things and incorporate the small habits that we've already discussed, I think it's going to be pretty good for us to make sure that our mental state, our overall lifestyle, and plus our health is all intact and all good.
Yeah, and I think that positive relationship with food is just so important. I'm also a mother, as I told you, and I see
Yeah,
so many of these teens and these preteens who develop these a very strange relationship with food, a
right,
very unhealthy relationship, which is potentially not good.
right,
We need to develop a more positive attitude and a more positive relationship with food.
right, right.
What is the best food for staying mind, body, and soul?
Harsh, I'm plus oneing you on that one. What is the best food? Harsh is asking us for his 10-year-old for his mind, body, and what his or her, sorry, mind, body, and soul.
So, Harsh, I would say don't restrict your kid for not eating certain foods, okay? Let them enjoy food. That's what I would suggest. The best foods for mind, body, and health is lots of leafy vegetables. I know kids don't really like them, but try and give it in some or the other hidden form. You can definitely incorporate nuts, dried fruits, which are great for their mental health as well as for their brain development. Even for their overall health, make sure there are all food groups in their plate. So there's carb, there's protein, there's fat, there's some sort of a probiotic, fiber, water. All of these nutrients are well combined in their plate. Even if they don't like eating all of the things separate like how we adults do, but try and make sure that you collaborate everything in a meal or probably in a recipe, which would make sure that they are getting all the macro as well as the micronutrients. So I think that's something which I would definitely recommend, Harsh, to your 10-year-old, and even for you.
No, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Perfect.
Let's just give it a couple of minutes and see if there are any other questions.
Yeah.
So, what is on that topic? And while we're waiting, what is some of your favorite snacks? Share. Like if you're at the 6 p.m., what is the at that time when hunger is gnawing in between meals? What's your favorite go-to snack?
So I would always prefer having khakras, which are my favorite. So, and it is light as well. You don't have to worry about gaining weight being in the profession. Popcorn, I love popcorn. I sometimes have foxnut, full makhana, or lotus seed, roasted chana. Laddus are always there at home. Laddus or chikkis are like my go-to snack. And if in case I've been working throughout the day and if I've been traveling or at the clinic, I would always carry an energy bar or a protein bar with me, which would give me that instant energy that I need at least at this hour. So yeah, these are some of the snacks which I always love, eating.
Yeah. This tea time is, I have to tell you, the worst. This is the time
Worst.
all diets crash between
Exactly.
4 to 7. Like that's the evil window.
Right.
We plan our breakfast so well. We're so well disciplined till lunch, and then somewhere between 4 to 6, it all goes boom. I think these are some terrific choices, and popcorns are actually quite delicious
Yes.
if you do them well.
Yes. Yes.
Shreyas wants to know, as a runner, is there something specific you do for a diet?
Um,
Diet for runners.
Shreyasi, everything as a runner because I've been a runner myself and I know how difficult it is no matter how many kilometers of run you're doing, but you need to fuel your body. So make sure you are fueling well before your run, maybe like having a banana or maybe having a laddu or a chikki right before you begin with your run. In between, take care of your hydration. Water is just not enough if you're a runner. So try and have a good balance of glucose as well as electrolytes when you're running because of the sweat loss. There are higher chances that probably you would be dehydrated and it might hamper your performance or might give you cramps and injuries and so on. So a well hydration strategy during your run is a must. Post run, try and have a good quality protein as well as a carb source because for the run that you've been doing, your body needs to recover and only protein is sometimes not enough. So I think Food Strong has an amazing protein which I've personally tried when I go for my runs or my walk. And they have turmeric as well as they have some other nutrients in it which actually takes care of your recovery aspect as well. So you can definitely get in touch with Food Strong and try their whey protein. So these are some of the important things that you can incorporate if you're a runner. Along with that, throughout the day, make sure there's a good balance between the carbs, proteins, and fat that you are incorporating from the daily routine foods. So that's something which I would recommend because this is a generalized session. So I don't want to give any specific, recommendations. But if you have more queries, then definitely you can get in touch with me.
And sources for some of the healthy fats that you recommended.
Sources for healthy fats.
Yeah, healthy fats. What would healthy fats be?
So anything that can be made with avocado, definitely. Mayo, I generally not recommend until unless you want to gain weight. But cheese related things you can definitely have because I always perceive cheese as an healthy protein source and not really something which is going to lead to weight gain. Along with that, I really don't think so. There's another alternatives which I can recommend for sauces. If you can give me some of the examples, I can tell you yes or no.
Nuts,
Nuts, perfect.
peanuts,
Not really. You have
almonds,
almonds, your walnut, pistachios are good.
and berries and raisins for the healthier
Definitely.
sugars.
Definitely. Definitely. Berries, raisins, date, figs, apricots, all of these are your go-to snacks.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Imani wants to know if there's something has too much protein. And how
Is
much
there
protein
something like more protein? Um, See, every individual's requirement for proteins is different depending on the amount of activity that you're doing. But for an normal individual, Indian individual, it is somewhere between zero point 0.8 to 1 gram per kg body weight. There's nothing called as excessive protein or too much of protein. You would know, or your body would rather tell you if you are having excess of that because protein, most of the people think that protein is something which is bad and you should not have it. It might affect your kidneys and so on. But you need to make sure that your hydration is also good enough along with the amount of protein that you're eating. So if your hydration is not good enough, because see, kidneys work is to flush out all the unnecessary things from your body, right? And if in case you're not having enough of water or hydration throughout the day, then ultimately it would have that effect. So there is nothing called as too much of protein, but make sure that even if there's, to put it in simple words, even if there's one katori of dal or chicken or paneer or any of your rajma or chole for your lunch and dinner, and something for your breakfast as well, I think you would be able to take care of your protein requirement throughout the day. And I think someone asked that how much protein.
I think she's frozen, guys. Just let's. And I think she's back.
I'm sorry for
Sorry, we
the
got
issue.
there for a
Sorry,
bit,
sorry.
but I think we got most of the good parts. So, last question for this session, Shreya. Thank you for being such a good sport and giving us such lovely answers. I'm also personally a lot in the camp of saying we have a lot of excess sugar in our diets and a lot of added sugar. And I see that it's a problem for all age groups. My 7-year-old consumes too much sugar. I consume too much sugar, and potentially my parents consume too much sugar. And it's so integrated with the food that we have. This added sugar coming from various substances, and I'm personally seeing diabetes very closely in the family. And I think it's a disease that is plaguing across generations. I mean, I've now heard of several cases of young kids being
Yeah.
detected with diabetes, right? What do you think? A few tips to sort of control the amount of added sugar and sugar in our diet. I think that makes for a much healthier beginning to the review.
Right, right. See, all I would suggest is to look out for alternatives because when we talk about sugar and when we talk about its alternatives like honey, jaggery, and stevia. So, talking about honey and jaggery, it provides the similar amount of calories as of sugar. The only difference is with regards to the processing and with regards to the micronutrients that you get from all of these alternatives. And when we talk about stevia, so it's more natural, it has 0 calories, and plus it does not lead to a sudden spike in the insulin levels or in the glucose levels when you have it. So I think if one is able to incorporate or switch from simple sugar to these alternatives, it's going to be a great option.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking time out this Monday evening for us, Shreya. Wish you and everybody who's on this link a very, very happy new year. May 2020 to be happy, prosperous, and safe for all of you and your families. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Happy New Year and take care, everyone. Bye bye.